Welcome back. It is still iBrand Daybreak, and it's time for personal finance with Charles Fakroha. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Today's topic is very, very, very interesting. I'm sitting back and I'm hoping that to hear what it is about. You know, we're shielding our salary from inflation. That is the topic, right? I mean, how to shield your salary from inflation. How is that? What exempts our salaries from inflation? Since inflation is biting deep into everybody's pocket.
That's interesting. Josh, I thought you wanted to ask me a question.
No, I'll shoot, but not now.
Okay, but let's look at it this way. You know, after the election, so many issues happened, and NBS, you know, in fact, that's one organization I give kudos to. They're always giving us, you know, timely information, updates. Yeah. Even DMO too is giving us all the debts we are owing and all that. But the NBS said headline inflation, consumer price index, all that, I think the average man does not even understand. But what they are saying, inflation is up over 22%. Yes. Now, what does that mean? You were earning 100,000 before, and you were able to buy certain things. With inflation, the prices of items are increasing generally. So your 100,000 naira you earned last month cannot buy you those same things that you want to buy now. So if inflation has gone up, let's say maybe by 5 or 10%, so your 100,000 naira is 5% of 100, which is 5,000 naira less. So if you think you are still earning 100,000, you know you are earning 95,000 naira. And that is the reality in the country today. Inflation has gone up. Some people will use a local example. They used to buy a bag of rice at one point in time, 8,000, 10,000. And today, they tell you, how much now? Maybe from the food, something you did yesterday.
It's up to 25,000 naira.
A bag of rice, okay, depending on the size, okay.
Yeah.
Some, even at one point, they were even saying 30,000, 35,000 and all that. So you can see, that is just one aspect, that is food. What about transportation cost? What about housing? And now, as a salary earner, how do you now shield this your salary from this inflation? How possible? The first thing you will do, first of all, the most important thing is to understand financial literacy. Because if you don't understand financial literacy, then you keep arguing and say you don't even know where your money is going. Yes, and of course you begin to attribute it to people in the village.
Spiritual means.
And the people in the village, they are so busy going to their farm, they don't have your time. So why would you not be accusing them of something
they did not do?
So the first thing you need to do, you know, to shield your salary from inflation is to manage your salary wisely. That's the first thing. You need to adjust your lifestyle. If you used to spend 10,000 naira on a particular item, maybe food, now you'll be doing budgeting. Just reduce your lifestyle. If you used to go to the club maybe twice a week, please reduce it to once a week. So that your purchasing power will still maintain some basic things. If you used to eat 3 times a day, reduce it to twice a day.
Are you for real?
Yes.
Twice
reduce
a day.
it to twice a day. Of course, you can stack in between. Twice, and that's what you need, twice a day. So that the amount of money because you'll be spending much money now to buy the same quantity of food. So you need to adjust your lifestyle. Manage your salary wisely. That is the first tip. The second tip is to start a budget and stick to it. Because when you have a budget, you will know where your money is going and you prioritize. There are certain things you spend money on before. But with inflation now, because your purchasing power is going down, so you need to prioritize. It's not everything. If you used to maybe at the end of every day, you say, oh, for the boys, I know I used to do it before. For the boys, you take them out. Please, you need to stop it. Because with your budget, you now know where your money is going. Because you just need to provide the basic things that you need. And thank God, we have seen situations. People thought we couldn't survive COVID, but we survived it. What happened to our lifestyle? Our lifestyle were changed completely. Some people even told me they ate food without even a piece of meat, and nothing happened to them. So with this inflation increasing on a month-on-month basis, MBS will give us the inflation figures for April by the time we get to May. The ones we have now is the figures for March. It's on month-on-month basis. So you have to adjust your lifestyle. You don't need to spend so much on your housing because your purchasing power has gone down. Then you need to also invest in assets that can beat inflation. And one of those assets is invest in the stock markets. However, the stock market is also very risky. So you have to do your work, talk to your stockbroker to know. Because we have seen people who invested in the stock market and over a period of time, what they invested, the returns they are getting is beating inflation. Mindful of your savings, you have a savings account and they are paying you maybe, let's say 5%. And inflation rate is 20%. That means you are not getting any return. It's a negative return. So you have to look for high yielding accounts that will give you a better interest rate so that you can shield your money from this inflation. Another thing you need to do is to diversify your income. You cannot survive on one salary. I am not saying abandon iBrand job and go and do something else. What I'm saying, what happens to your weekend? What happens when you close and leave here? You could create something, they call it side hustle, to augment your income. Because with that, your salary, it will not be enough to take care of you. And we see people who earn so much money. Don't think it's just for the low income people, though. Somebody who earns 100, let's say 1 million naira a month, and she's doing so many things, a young lady. With inflation, let's say inflation is 10%. That 1 million naira is now 900,000 naira. So she needs to do things that is 900,000 naira for her to continue to be. So what do? Is to adjust your lifestyle. Some of the things that you do that consume money, please, you stop them or reduce it. You know, diversify your income source. Then at the same time, be focused. You have to be focused because inflation is beating hard on everybody.
All right. Now,
one thing I have to mention, pay off your debts. Pay off your debt because debt, you know what is happening now with these digital banks that if you are owing them, they tell the whole world that the government is trying to sanitize that. We are saying, please pay off your debt. They keep telling you, take, come and take this loan. They are not telling you of the interest rate that is involved. And once you take, they tell you, okay, pay, come and take it. Perpetually, you are working for them. So it is better to pay off all your debt so that when you are going into debt or you are taking credit facility, you know you are going to use that facility for something that will yield you a better return. That is the only way you can shield your salary from inflation.
As much as I understood what you're saying and it is the obvious, it's the reality, how can you as an individual advise someone who has a family? When I mean a family, he has a wife and children.
Yes.
To eat twice a day.
Okay, good. Now, when we are saying twice a day, me and you do that. Do you eat 3 times a day? Most of us eat twice a day. That's the reality. That is the reality. And you take a very good breakfast or a light breakfast. Then you don't even take lunch when you're supposed to take lunch. Maybe at about 5, 6, when you get home, 7, that's when you take your lunch. Is that also? That's twice a day. But I'm saying for your children, yes, you can assist them to snack in between. But again, it's for you to allow them, let them be aware. We are not saying explain to your little children, but of course, those who are a little bit adult, mature, they will understand. You know, and if you look at it very well, it's twice the day most of us eat. That's the reality. That's the reality. But for little children, of course, you can afford to allow them to go the normal 3 times a day. But by the time they become a little bit mature, you understand certain things. What you eat in the morning? You take your breakfast. In the afternoon, what do you eat? In the evening, and of course, it's always better for us. Your last meal should be from 7 a.m. 7 p.m. After that, don't take anything again. For your health. Yes.
So what do you do when you get to the point where even basic life purchases or basic life needs become, should I say, flooded in the inflation? For example, you know, when you were talking, you mentioned transportation, mentioned feeding. I understand everything you said. Well, if you used to go from Oshodi to Magodo for 300 naira, and now it's
700 naira. So you can see
you jump from
over
300 naira to 700
and your salary is
is the same.
Yes, that's what we are discussing now.
And you need to go from Oshodi to Magodo for work. It's not like you can decide not to go again.
Yes, you will need to come to work. If you don't come to work, of course, I trust my HR. She will deal with you very well. And you know, yes, that's the truth. You know, and that's why I suggested that you should diversify your income sources. You can't depend on just a salary alone. And you can do that without even disturbing your normal 9 to 5 job or 8 to 5 job. You don't need to distort it. You have your weekends. Yes. You can even do things for yourself. There's those things you go and bring somebody to come and fix in your house. Little laundry you can do. Little plumbing you can do. Changing the bulb in your house you can do. But before, you just call the electrician and he doesn't even do anything and he's charging you. Okay? So, because of this inflation now, there are things you need to do for yourself.
You know, one thing you mentioned, which has actually been talked about, is just that people don't pay attention because maybe it's not entertainment, it doesn't catch attention. And that is financial literacy.
Okay.
There's been a lot of conversations around how that it should be incorporated into the educational system. Like there are things that we learn in school, you know, we tease each other with. You don't ever use drawing grasshopper and labeling it. Have you used it in your real life? Okay. You know, people is teasing though. Yes. That's on the lighter note. Yes. But then financial literacy, I know there is accounting in school, but it's not financial literacy.
That's true, I agree with you.
And it should be joined to things that children learn, even from kindergarten to primary school. Now, but for the purpose of this conversation we're having this morning, there are people that are probably hearing that word for the first time today.
That's true.
What would you say financial literacy is, and what are the basics? What are the first things we need to learn on the level of financial literacy?
Very good. Before I answer your question, let me just let you know that we already developed a curriculum. I have developed a curriculum to teach financial literacy at all levels in our educational system. Like you said, from kindergarten, to nursery, primary, secondary, and of course to tertiary. And not only those in schools, even workers. I have been involved in teaching financial literacy to so many workers in different companies. And you keep learning. The basis of financial literacy, for you to understand, is not the accounting they teach you in school. You need to understand the basis of budgeting, the basis of money skills. You know, you need to have certain money skills, discipline, how to set financial goals, how to balance your bank account. Some people are even afraid to talk about their finances. But fortunately for them, they talk about every other thing. Yeah. But when it comes to their finances, they don't talk about it.
They don't know how to keep track.
Yes, that's where budgeting is key. So yes, that is ongoing. And of course, in one of my NGOs, which I have started now, is financial empowerment. And that's why I always quarrel with state governments. You say you are doing empowerment, skill acquisition. At the end of the day, you train them, you give them starter packs, they go and start their business, they cannot manage their money. Their personal finance, they cannot manage. And at the end of the day, the business will collapse. So we are incorporating financial literacy to every government empowerment program so that each individual, each person will understand the basis of financial literacy. It is not getting a PhD in economics or banking, or I work in the bank, I'm a banker. There are two different things. Personal financial planning is different from I'm a banker, I'm an accountant. We have seen accountants who manages firms' money, but they cannot manage their
His
own
own.
personal money. It's a skill that you need for
right.
life.
We could keep on talking about this. I'm having so much fun having this financial conversation, but let's save the rest for the next time we're going to have you in the studio. Thank you so much, Charles, for coming on the show today.
You know, it's always a pleasure to be here.
All right, it is still iBrand Daybreak. When we return, we're going to be bringing you the entertainment part of stuff. We call it social media buzz. So you want to find out what's happening on Instagram, Twitter? Stay with us. You'll find out.